Raider Nation, what's going on? It's Mitchell Renz here, host of the Raiders Board, and we got some breaking news here. The Las Vegas Raiders, they just went ahead and they signed Desmond Ridder. I'm live from my house. I'm on doggy duty, so I had to come home here, which that's why it looks a little bit different. But guess what? I want to get some questions flowing. I want to get some interactions going here. I'm live at home, which I don't usually do for this type of breaking news, but quite frankly, I was like, this is the only way that I was going to be able to do it, and this is the bottom line. When Raiders have breaking news, I will do my best to give you guys the content that you're looking for. So make sure you hit that subscribe button. Make sure you hit that like button, and let's talk about it a little bit here. What do you guys think of the pickup? I want you to grade it for me. A, B, C, D, or F down below. The Raiders just signed Desmond Ridder. Now, this was somebody that I literally just talked about in the video that I released on the channel no longer than an hour ago. I brought up Ritter because he was a third-round pick. I want to say 74 overall back in 2022. I know that he's good friends with Trey Tucker. Those two were together at Cincinnati. But then also on top of that, the fact that he was a member of the Arizona Cardinals practice squad, and the Raiders signed him right away, which means he's going to be on that active roster competing with Gardner Minshew. And I'm telling you guys this right now. I think the starting quarterback for the Raiders week 8 going up against the Kansas City Chiefs is going to end up being Desmond Ridder. I really, really do believe that, whether you like that or not, because here's the thing. I think at this point, you can't do any worse than what Gardner Minshew has provided for the Raiders this season. Like, real talk, whether you like that or not, I don't know if there's another option that could be worse than Gardner Minshew. 4 touchdowns, 11 turnovers in general. He's got, 2 touchdowns for the opposing team recently? And I hate saying this because I wanted Gardner Minshew to succeed. But Gardner Minshew, I think Luke Getsy actually broke Gardner Minshew, where Minshew is the type of quarterback where you need confidence, you need swagger. He's not talented enough in the NFL to go out there and get it done on a weekly basis unless he's got confidence in himself. That's kind of what Gardner Minshew has been his entire career. A not super talented QB, but because he's always believed in himself and he's kind of quirky in that regard, that you're going to end up getting the most out of him. That's not what I see anymore. Since the pick 6 by Patrick Surtain, I'm not kidding you, Gardner Minshew looks like when I yell at Chuck for peeing in the corner of the room when he was a puppy, tail between his legs, ears are down. So what you do now is you go out and you get a QB that can actually move a little bit. Maybe we'll see what he ends up looking like. And I know that the numbers for Desmond are not terrific, right? From a career standpoint, 3,544 yards, 14 touchdowns, 12 interceptions. Last season with Atlanta, a 64.2% completion percentage, 2,836 yards, 12 touchdowns, 12 interceptions. Now, this was a quarterback that I'll admit I was never all that crazy about when he was first coming out of college. For a lot of y'all that watch the show and were like, should the Raiders draft Desmond Ridder? Should the Raiders draft Desmond Ridder? And I was like, no, he wasn't a big fan for me personally. But I do like the move for where the Raiders were at. It's not going to cost a lot of money. I know that a lot of people wanted them to go out and get Ryan Tannehill. That wasn't a viable option for the simple fact of what you would have had to pay Ryan Tannehill. Like, if I'm Ryan Tannehill and I want to jumpstart my career, I don't want to go to the Raiders. I'm going to make you pay me some money to go to the Raiders. So here's what I want to know. I want y'all to get some comments flowing. Let's get some super chats. Since I'm live at home, anytime somebody bangs, I'm going to count it as 3 bangs for our October bang competition. And shit, man, if you guys want to get a little bit weird, I'm down to get a little bit weird here at home. I got Chuck. We're hanging out. I was getting ready to watch a little Monday Night Football. I will say this. I got about 30 to 45 minutes if y'all want to turn up, because this is one of those moves where I know that it's not like Desmond Ridder is going to save the day. I'm not going to sit up here and tell you that Desmond Ridder is going to save the day. What I am telling you, though, is this is a move that the Raiders are telling the entire nation, we're not going to give up. We're not going to fold. We're not going to just tank, baby. And there's a lot of people, myself included. Do I want the Raiders to go out and get some of these top quarterbacks? Of course I do. But it's still, in my heart of hearts, it's really hard to be able to sit there and say, let's go out there and tank when these guys are making millions of dollars. Sir Chai, Devontae just demanded a trade from the Jets. I know that you're kidding, but I mean, when you go to a 2-5 team, you go to another 2-5 team. I don't feel bad for Davante Adams at all. Another super chat coming in here from Rich Wolf. Mitch, bruh, what are we doing, man? Number 1 is ours soon. I think what you're simply doing is, this is Mark Davis telling this organization that Gardner Minshew's been that bad. And how can you get mad at Antonio Pierce, Tom Telesco, Luke Getsy for trying to save their job? Like, if your job was on the line, Rich, you would try to do everything in your power, right, to make sure that you don't lose your job. And, you got guys like me, you got everybody saying, fire this guy, do this, do that, like calling for jobs, which I don't blame anybody for doing because of how bad of a product it's been out there on the field. I get it. I'm just as frustrated as you. But this is at least a move that says we're not going to roll over and die. This is a move that says when Aidan O'Connell comes back, it can be between Desmond Ridder and Aidan. Like when you go out and if you were to trade for a big name QB, you're giving up draft capital and then you're going to have to pay for that quarterback. If you want a guy like Ben Johnson next season or a top head coach or a top offensive play caller to pair with one of our young quarterbacks that we're going to end up drafting, Raiders got to look like a desirable destination. How do you do that? Save your salary cap space, save your draft picks. That's what this move here by Desmond Ridder does. I know it's not a flashy name, but in the idea of what I would have done, go check out the video that I put out an hour ago. Desmond Ridder was one of the names that I brought up because I thought that it made sense from the silver and black standpoint. It's not an A+. You're not going to get an A+ type of move at this point in the offseason. But I do like the move because we're going to save salary cap. We're going to save draft capital. You let him compete with Gardner Minshew, probably just going to give him the job. And then when Aidan O'Connell comes back in 4 to 6 weeks, if you're winning a bunch of games with Desmond Ridder, stick with Desmond Ridder. Who knows, right? Like, we've seen other quarterbacks fail elsewhere because Arthur Smith was not the right OC, not the right head coach for Atlanta, for Ritter, for his type of skill set. Maybe Luke Getsy is. I don't think that he is. I don't think there's a single quarterback in the NFL that would pair well with Luke Getsy. But for long-term and for this season, I actually like this move by the Las Vegas Raiders. All right, y'all, keep those supers flowing here. I'm going to do my best to answer them. I can't put them up on screen like I usually do because I don't got Chuggs and really, really shitty timing. Literally, as soon as we left the office, the breaking news ended up happening, and for Jeremy to have to turn around, we would not have been live yet. So that's why I'm live here from the house. Seriously, though, if you bleed silver and black, I promise you this, you're not going to find anybody that's going to outwork me here. And whether you agree with me all the time, I know that y'all don't agree with me all the time. Hell, half the shit that I say after a watch party, sometimes I'm like, bro, you were in your feels during that game. But seriously, I want you to hit that subscribe button. We're live here for a reason. I do got to give a shout out to our sponsor, Prize Picks. And if anybody wants to play a little Monday night football action, Prize Picks is where that y'all need to end up going. Prize Picks, daily fantasy sports made easy. And I know that I've talked about Prize Picks quite a bit for a lot of our, we'll call them OG viewers here, which don't get me wrong, we're getting new people that watch the show all day, every day. And it's obviously greatly appreciated. But for Prize Picks, I use it all the time. I wish that my lineup would have ended up hitting in that game yesterday, but Brock Bowers didn't end up scoring a touchdown. It is what it is. But if you sign up today, you're going to get $50 instantly when you play $5. You don't even need to win to receive the $50 bonus. It's guaranteed. PrizePicks also offers weekly promotions that can lead to big-time payouts like Taco Tuesday. If you're an NFL fan and an NBA fan, I know Anthony Edwards right now, if he scores 1 point, you end up hitting that. PrizePicks discounts select player projections up to 25% to provide even more value for your lineups. Download the PrizePicks app today. Use code CLNS to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. PrizePicks, run your game. So if anybody's like, Mitch, I can't find the PrizePicks link, don't worry, I got you covered. I'm going to put it for you guys down in the comments. It's also in the description of today's show. What's up, Thugador? This actually gives us a chance to compete. Respect to AP. He knows we needed the win now. Just hope it works. I give Antonio Pierce, Tom Telesco respect for making this move as well. It's not easy to make a move like this because I think it tells everybody that you're going to bench Gardner Minshew. But for the love of God, if you think that the Raiders should bench Gardner Minshew, spam me down below. You're going to get a shout out here on the show. And that's coming from me. Gardner Minshew right now is worse than Jimmy Garoppolo. Think about that for a second. And a lot of people are going to, Mitch, you're overreacting. Am I? Am I overreacting? The fact that it's even a question, the fact that we're even talking about it tells me everything. The Raiders needed to move on from Gardner. He can't start another game for the remainder of the season because of how bad he's been. And he even said it. He's never turned the ball over like this. And I don't think that it's fair to put everything on Minshew. It's not. The offensive line's been shit. We don't have any good receivers right now compared to most NFL teams. We've had some injuries. But when you also consider how bad the Raiders played and how bad Minshew in particular has been playing, sometimes you just got to make a move, or else there's going to be a lot of other players that say, why the hell do I want to play here? Just ship me away if you're not going to try to win at the NFL trade deadline. I think that this actually, though, for what the Raiders need this season and what the Raiders are planning to do next season, this was a smart move. You needed to do something. That's just a cold, hard fact. Mitch, if AP is let go, how does it affect Max's status with the team, knowing their relationship? Doesn't impact it at all. Max's relationship with Mark Davis is way more important than Max's relationship with Antonio Pierce. Max is not going anywhere. Carter Harlow, honestly, at least we are trying. C+ grade for me. That's kind of how I feel. You can't just sit around and, twiddle your thumbs. And Antonio Pierce even kind of said it today where he's like, we were in here early. We're working. We want people to know that we're working. This is a move that's letting everybody in the nation know, hey, we're not just going to roll over. We're not going to play dead. This is just win, baby. It's an ugly commitment to excellence, but they're at least trying. And quite frankly, that's all you can ask for once in a while is that they are at least going to try. Noah Santana, love you, Mitch. Go Dodgers. I know. You're one person I've been ignoring in my DMs. You, Nico, Laz, and all the other crazy Dodgers fans out there. It is what it is. But you know what? Let's go Dodgers. Beat them Yankees. Am I right? All right, keep those supers, those questions flowing. Hashtag Raiders. I am doing my best to get to each and every one of those. And if there's anybody out there that's a mod right now on the channel that can get rid of some of these bots, it would really, really help me out because I'm doing this all on my own here, which I don't usually do. I got Z-Saw. What up, George Alvarez? Conch. What up, Hot Rod? James Williams. Call me Snags. Buzz-O-Matic here in the building. James Butts. What up, Co? I see you down there. Can't get right. Jerry. Call me Snags again. M&B. Buzz-O-Matic. Blue Richards. A bunch of real ones here in the chat, which believe me when I tell you this, it does go a very, very far way. And I do greatly, greatly appreciate every time that somebody decides to pull up here on the show because I know this season has been tough, right? Let's keep it a buck here. This season has been really, really, really tough. And we're going to keep it riding. That's what the nation here is all about. David, hey, how about them Jets, Mitch, from David Taken? Yeah, I was kind of disappointed that the Jets lost. And I only say that because I want us to get a second-round pick from the Devontae Adams trade. That shit ain't happening anymore. Ritter fits Getsy better. Screen game all day from Dylan Erickson. I hear you. I see Thugadors, Arbor. I got that one. Carter, Noah, Jonathan Ruiz. At this point, I'd rather see Ritter. I'm with you. And it's not that I like Desmond Ridder as the quarterback prospect. It's what else do we have to lose? I feel like I'm such a person who likes to put on a smile, likes to have a good time. But watching that game yesterday, and I almost feel like I had to be sarcastic because it was the only way that I could, not hold back the tears. Like, it was so frustrating. Like, the fact that the Raiders lost a game where they ended up, and I know that the Raiders lost the game, but it's crazy that you lost the game, and the only way that this happens is bad QB play or bad coaching. The Raiders outgained the Rams through the air and on the ground. The Raiders ran 23 more plays than the Rams did yesterday. The Raiders ended up having 5 more first downs. The Raiders won time of possession by over 7 minutes. I want to say 7 minutes and 36 seconds. For the Raiders to do all those things and still lose, that is quarterback play stinks and your coaching stinks. That's usually the only way that happens. Rich Wolf, Shador with Ben with a new O-line is all I'm ready for. Well, Rich, I hear you. I really, really hear you. And that's, the long thing. Like, I want Cam Ward. I want the Raiders to draft a quarterback. The video that I made literally right before I left work, you guys are going to see it tomorrow at 11 a.m. Eastern time, was around which quarterback I think is the most likely to be the Raiders starting quarterback next season. And I'll tell you this, now Desmond Ridder is not in that video. For everybody that's watching this show live right now, I probably would put Desmond Ridder in that video. It's just a chance because if Desmond comes out and balls out and shows that he's a good fit and gets his offense, you got to at least consider the fact, right? I don't think it's going to happen. I still want the Raiders draft QB high, but there is at least a possibility in that. What up, Sir Chai? What are your Monday Night Football score predictions, Mitch? All I know is this. I need Chris Godwin to get me 6 points in fantasy in a PPR league. Quite frankly, outside of that, I don't really care. I also took the more on receptions for Chris Godwin on Prize Picks. So if those things happen, I'm going to be a happy camper. What's up, Raider Kevin? Luke Getsy get fired yet? That'll help save our season. The only reason why I don't think Luke Getsy is going to end up getting fired is because Antonio Pierce is going to need a fall man. There's going to have to be a fall man at the end of the season if it goes as bad as what I think that the season is kind of trending right now. Like, honestly, let me know down in the comments section to everybody who's watching right now. We got over 2,000 people here in the building. Shout out to all y'all. How many games are the Raiders going to win this season? Let me know down below. We're 2-5 right now. How many games will we win for the remainder of this season? And I think because we're not going to see a lot of high answers here, if you're AP at the end of the year, you go, well, hey, it was Luke Getsy was the problem. Our defense played well. I'm a defensive-minded guy. Let me go get an offensive-minded coach that we can put at OC, and then we'll be able to fix it. I wanted to get Jaden Daniels. We just were unable to do it. I'm able to identify good quarterbacks. We were just unable to go out and get a good one. And then for a guy like Telesco wanted Gardner Minshew, and that ended up not working out. Whoever wanted to put the offensive regime together, they deserve the blame. That's a fact. Noah Santana with Anthony Edwards, I win 200 for 20. Hell yeah, man. PrizePicks.com/CLNS. Raider Ryan, can we get Ritter Minshew now? Laugh out loud. I like the move. Ritter Minshew? I don't know what that means. Justin G, can we see Chuck? So sometimes when I yell a lot, Chuck goes away. Hey, buddy, come here. And Alex is home, so I don't know if I have all that much of a chance with me yelling. I might be able to get him. But yelling Mitch is not Chuck's favorite. Sometimes he'll come over. Sometimes he won't. Buddy! Oh, there's some movement. We'll see if he ends up coming in. What's up, Can't Walk? Quarterback mobile or in the pocket? Come here, handsome. I mean, Ritter's one of those guys that's a little bit of a mix between both. Hi, people want to say hi to you. Come here. Oh, my big boy. What's up? So, with a guy like Ritter, he is a little bit mobile, but I think also he can sit in that pocket a little bit. But what the Raiders needed, what do you think about Ritter? Yeah, you like the move or no? He's like, I just wanted to go for a WALK when you got home. I know. But I do think at least he's going to be able to move a little bit more. And for a team that's had as much offensive line trouble as what we've had, I do think that it's going to be at least a move that we have to see how it ends up going. They've had also, I think when you have a quarterback that is a little bit more mobile like Desmond, who can also do a lot of like the read options, RPOs, stuff like that, that does open up your running game a little bit. It can also cause a little bit more of confusion. But also, if you're a guy like Ritter, you've been working, you've been staying in shape, you've been with the Arizona Cardinals, a team that's, I think, done a good job implementing some of the, things that I just mentioned there with RPOs and all that. But, let's see what we got, man. It can't be much worse. Thugador, my concern is if Ritter wasn't that good with Arthur Smith, then will he be better with our OC? I will say this. Arthur Smith and Luke Getsy systems, no system in the NFL is identical, but Arthur Smith's system is definitely more predicated on the run, which Getsy's is too. But Arthur Smith with that type of offense, you can't run the same offense. And that's not what the Raiders are going to do. If I'm Ritter, I want to play in a West Coast style of offense. I want to play in something that's a lot of play action, allows me to use my legs, something like Ritter to me is a less accurate Jared Goff, but a more athletic Jared Goff, where still not Jared Goff is a much, much better quarterback. I don't want that to get twisted. But that's the type of QB and the type of system that I think would work well with Ritter. Wild one, do you want a new quarterback or not? You either suck, fire Telesco, or accept a mediocre quarterback. Telesco will not pick up to move. It's not his way. I know that you're not a fan of Telesco, and I'm not really a big fan of Telesco either, but I can't get mad at somebody for trying to save their job, right? Is this the move that me as the Raider fan wanted in a sense where if you watch my video today, I said, honestly, if I'm the Raiders, I save up money. I potentially roll with Carter Bradley, and then you just see what you got in Aidan once he comes back from his injury because this season isn't going to go anywhere. However, though, I did put Desmond Ridder in my video for a reason, simply because if you wanted to bring in a quarterback, it does make sense to bring in a quarterback that's already on a roster, that at least they've been working, they've been staying sharp, and that's very, very important at the QB position. You're not going to have to pay him a lot of money. They're not. He's still on a rookie contract. So Ritter, it's basically for free. And then you're at least showing your fan base that you're trying to win. I can't get mad at this organization for trying to save their job, because here's the thing. Everybody watching this show right now, if you knew that your job was on the line and you needed to try to save it, you would try to do it. And that's what the Raiders did today with Desmond Ridder. But they also did it in a smart way by trying to save up money, save up draft capital to making sure that the Raiders are still a desirable destination. Because if you're watching the show right now and you're going, oh, man, the Raiders signed Desmond Ridder, now we're never going to be able to get a quarterback. What are we talking about? It's Desmond Ridder, right? Like it's not like Ritter's going to come in here and we're going to just be one of the best teams in the NFL. You're probably still going to be one of the worst teams in the NFL. I mean, that's just a cold hard fact. The defense is banged up. The offensive line stinks. The OC stinks. Our head coach looks lost right now. I get it, but you at least got to try. And that's what they're doing. They're at least freaking trying, man. What up, Zamir White fan? I had a Devontae Adams, so I decided to duct tape over the 7 and then Adams now. So I have a mint condition Myers, also RIP to O'Connell's career. If you think the Raiders signing Desmond Ridder is RIP to Aidan O'Connell's career, then I don't know what to tell you, man. I mean, this move does not impact Aidan's career at all. If anything, it just gives him another person that he's going to have to compete with when AOC comes back. Like, Ritter was on a practice squad for as long as he was for a reason, right? Like, not a lot of teams thought that he was all that good, had an opportunity. Now the Raiders get to bring him in. As soon as Aidan comes back and he's healthy, if the Raiders, again, you got the Chiefs, you got the Bengals, you got a bye week, and then you end up playing the Miami Dolphins with Tua back. That's 3 games. The only way in hell Ritter is going to remain the starter once Aidan comes back is you got to win 2 out of those 3 games. I love the Raiders. I bleed silver and black. We all love the Raiders. Are they going to win those 3 games, man? like, come on. You know what I mean? Like, and I hear you. I just think you got to at least try. And that's what Ritter's going to do. Ritter, on a scale of 1 to 10, how confident am I in him? How about this? You guys let me know down below. How confident are you in Desmond Ridder from a scale of 1 to 10? 1, you're not confident of all. 10, slam dunk, baby. It's going to end up happening. For me personally, I'm probably going to put it around a 5. And I'm putting it around a 5 because I will say this, and this kind of goes back to my argument of why I was like, hey, when the Carolina Panthers ended up starting Andy Dalton, I told a lot of people, I'm like, that's not a good thing for the Raiders because there's no tape on him. And there isn't any tape on him. I know that we're going up against the Chiefs, but because Ritter is an athletic QB that's recently been in the NFL, 3rd round pick from Cincinnati, a guy that, was getting some Heisman hype, because he's going to step into a brand new system and there's going to be a lot of unknowns, that can actually be a difficult thing to scheme for. So for week 1, I am going to be a little bit more confident in Ritter. After that, though, and you get a little bit more tape, it might get a little bit more ugly. What up, John? Still say Chuck as our quarterback 1. I'll tell you this right now. If Chuck was the quarterback 1, all we're doing is running Wildcat. Because my guy Chuck, I clocked him now. I haven't clocked him in about 3 years. But that's a lie. Maybe about 2.5 years. When I used to live in my old place, Chuck ran a 3.240. Not bad for a dog. I'll tell you this. No, there's not a single person watching this show right now. If I put Chuck's football in his mouth and we put him out on a football field, you pick 11 people in this chat right now, you're not putting a hand on him. It's a lot different when you run with 4 legs, from what I understand. Justin G, Chuck for OC. Chuck for OC, I'm in for. We got more supers coming in. And again, y'all, I'm home. I know that this is not typically what it looks like here on the show, and I can't show supers. I'm rolling through the supers as they come in. We went live for the Desmond Ridder news. It was really, really shitty timing, and the only way that I was going to be able to go live is if I went live from home. So just, keep that in mind. I'm in Alex's work studio space, so that's why it looks a little bit funny. But seriously, I appreciate all the people that always tune in, that care about what I have to say about this team. I do put in a lot of time and effort, but I do it because we got 2,400 people that care that the Raiders just signed Desmond Ridder. So, real ones, man. What up, Alex Bug? TB12 impact on quarterback choice next season. I've said this a few times. To me, the quarterback that I think Tom Brady is going to want the most the Raiders to draft is Shedeur Sanders. And I say that for multiple reasons. And I say that because we're probably going to have a top 5 pick. Shedeur has worked with Tom Brady in the offseason. Shedeur shows a lot of great accuracy. He does need to get rid of the football a little bit better, which needs to come out quicker. Mark Davis has said that he's going to let Tom Brady, have a little bit bigger of a say of who to go with. Mark Davis literally jokingly said to Shedeur, like, do you want to call this home? And you can say what you want about Mark Davis. That guy cares about money. And there's never been a quarterback in the history, I think, of the NFL draft to enter the league that's going to make somebody money more than what Shedeur has. I mean, think about what Colorado football is now compared to what it, used to be. If the Raiders get Shedeur Sanders, I'm not kidding you, the amount of primetime games, the amount of money Mark Davis will make, the amount of money Tom Brady's going to make now that he's a part-time owner, I actually think that the Raiders could turn into potentially the number one team for gross revenue, out taking the Cowboys for the first time and I don't know how freaking long. And that's because of Shedeur and that's because of Dion, because that's where eyeballs are going to go. I promise you this, there's no other quarterback that will make the Raiders more money than Shedeur Sanders. Noah, is it possible for us to have 2 top 5 first-round picks? I don't see how in hell you'd have to make a trade, so not going to happen. John Ada, Chuck for head coach. Greg Perez, thanks for the donation. Priz, do you think Tom Brady had any input on the Ritter decision? Maybe, maybe not. I mean, I would say that anything is possible simply because the moment Brady, got 5% of the stake, Mark Davis literally said that Brady's going to have some, decisions to make on who that next quarterback is going to be. And Ritter is a accurate quarterback, or at least he was in college. He needs to be in the right system. I'll admit him behind this offensive line does scare the absolute hell out of me, but this offensive line with almost any quarterback would scare the absolute hell out of me. It's a good question. I would say that it wouldn't shock me if Brady had at least a little bit to do with it. What are you doing? What's up, dude? How are we doing? He's like a shark, man. He's just hanging around. What do we got here? I got Rich Wolf. You're next up here on the show. We got a lot of super chats to still get to. And like I said, I'm going to stay live. I'm going to keep answering questions as long as that they're coming in. But I'm looking at my battery life here on my computer. And I left my charger at work. So you guys got about 25 minutes. Get those questions in. Rich Wolf, are Kuntz, Hobbs, Trevon Merrick coming back next season? I would be shocked if the Raiders ended up bringing back Malcolm Kuntz because of the injury. And I say that, well, that's actually not true. Malcolm's going to want some money on the open market. And I think Malcolm, unfortunately, is not going to get what he wants. And if the Raiders want to lowball him a little bit because they know what he can get, then that would be the way. But I still think Malcolm ends up going elsewhere because I do think a team will end up paying him. A guy like Nate Hobbs, I do see the Raiders bringing him back. Trevon Merrick is, I'm going to say TBD on whether or not they bring him back because he was one of the players that AP was talking about in terms of the business decision. So they have Isaiah Paul-Mal. They like him a lot. So potentially you could see Merrick, but Robert Spillane to me is the guy that they have to figure out a way to bring back. Divine Diablo is going to be another guy that they probably end up letting go. Oscar, to be honest, 1 to 10, it's a vacuum cleaner. This freaking sucks. I'm going with a 5. I don't think that this sucks. Cass Joey, I got friends in Atlanta who love Ritter. Kid's got potential. I still got Billy B as head coach next year. Bank on it. So you're going Bill Belichick. So to me, if you're not going to bring in an offensive-minded coach, the coach that I could see the Raiders bringing in is Mike Vrabel. Vrabel was linked to Tom Brady. Vrabel was linked to the Raiders this past offseason, whether y'all want to believe it or not. He was linked to the Raiders. And if AP ends up failing and the Raiders want to go with a coach that they trust in Vrabel, but then you got to be able to find that OC. And if it's up to me, if the Raiders have the number 1 overall pick, you have to go get Ben Johnson. Ben Johnson. Give me some BJs for some Ben Johnson. True Raider Podcast, AP not liking garbage Minshew is why we got Ritter. How can anybody like the way Gardner Minshew has played, right? Like, I don't care if Gardner Minshew's name was Patrick Mahomes and he's got 4 touchdowns, 11 turnovers, and I don't want to say single-handedly kind of crippled the Raiders yesterday, but I think if Aidan O'Connell plays that game, the Raiders win. I really do. I think if Aidan's the quarterback, the Raiders win. I think if Jacoby Myers is healthy and all you do is run Wildcat and you don't turn over the ball, you might win that freaking game. I mean, the Rams, all 20 of their points came off turnovers. You're not going to win in the NFL when you turn the ball over as much as what the Raiders did. It's just not going to happen. Malachi, keep Ritter active, Bradley, and fire Minshew. You're still going to keep Minshew on the roster because you got to pay him, right? Like, you gave him some guaranteed money. Minshew's going to end up being the backup quarterback. But because you signed Ritter off the practice squad, he is already on the active roster. So because that he's already on the active roster, that tells me that he's going to be competing with Gardner Minshew right away. Zorm the Bowl, at this point, let's give the Ritter a shot. I don't think it could be any worse than Jimmy Minshew, sorry nation, because the Raiders signed Ritter to the active squad. Like, because he was on the practice squad, he's already on the team. That tells me that they already know what they want to do at the quarterback spot, and they want to try to bring in somebody that can compete right away. Desmond Ridder, I'm telling you right now, is going to start this week. I'm already locking and loading it in my mind that Desmond Ridder is going to be the Raiders starting quarterback this week. Kai, thank you so much for the donation. Let's go to Thomas. AP said we have to have the cheat code to defeat Patrick Mahomes. You still believe that, Mitch? I mean, the last team that beat the Chiefs was the Raiders. And if you can beat the Chiefs, Patrick Mahomes, and Andy Reid, and your quarterback doesn't complete a pass for 3 quarters, that sounds like a cheat code to me. So if we can do it then, why can't we do it now? And that's one thing that I love about the Raiders, and it's the one thing that Chuggs and I have been joking about. I just got to turn on a light, so give me a sec. One of the things that Chuggs and I have been joking about is the fact that the Raiders, in a sense, seem to be that team that, they can never win the games that they're supposed to win, but they somehow figure out a way to win games that they're not supposed to win. And I feel like the Chiefs have been that team for the Raiders of late, where we play good ball against the Chiefs. And sometimes interdivision games are weird. You learn some ins and outs about your team. As far as I'm concerned, I don't think the Raiders are going to beat Kansas City. Nobody here, I think, would bet on the Raiders to beat Kansas City. But I also didn't think that the Raiders were going to beat Kansas City last year on Christmas, and it happened. So we'll see. Eric Castro, Shador for QB and his dad for offensive coordinator. I don't want Deion Sanders anywhere near this football team, where I'm already nervous about Shador being a me guy, which is one of the things that I find a little bit funny with some Raider fans. That's like, let's bring in Shador. I mean, if there's one quarterback that I'm worried about that is more about me, name on, the back more than on the front, it is Shador Sanders. I mean, he's already been called out for being a bad teammate. That's a fact. I mean, he's said things like live that his offensive line stinks. Those type of things do concern me a little bit, but I don't want Deion anywhere near this organization simply because Deion's made for college football. Like, Deion's main selling point is I can get you to the league. And I think the way Deion handles his players a lot of the times is definitely more around 18 to 21-year-olds compared to if he tries to do some of the shit that he's doing with grown men that are making millions of dollars. That's not going to happen. Deion right now, if Deion I think is smart, and Deion is very smart, very good businessman, you stay in college football, and I think it's only a matter of time before Deion Sanders is a head coach of one of these teams like, one of these top schools out there. And I don't know who it's going to be. Maybe he stays at Colorado for life, but there's going to be a school that offers him the bag. And you could also make an argument. It's a lot easier to keep your job, I think, in college football when you're a guy like Deion compared to the NFL. And I also don't know if Mark's going to be able to afford Deion Sanders. Let's go to Hobby. Would you trade for a receiver? If so, who? I don't know who you would trade for. I think at this point, if you're going to go out and get a receiver, just go out and sign one. Go out and sign maybe a Michael Thomas. Go out and sign maybe a guy like Corey Davis, who retired from the NFL but has some experience with Luke Getsy from their time in 2013 at Western Kentucky. You're hoping that Jacoby Myers can come back this week. You got obviously a solid player in Brock Bowers. I don't know when Michael Mayer is going to come back, if he does come back this season. But I'm trying to save my salary cap. I am trying to save as much as I possibly can to help it roll over to next season. And there's good players out there, yes, but I'm not trying to break the bank. So making a trade, I don't know who the hell the receiver you'd make a trade for. Some people think Mike Williams, but that's too much money. I don't want to pay for a receiver like Mike Williams. What's up, buddy? How we doing? Down in the dumps a little bit? Yeah. Everyone say hi to Chuck. He's thugging it out right now. What's up, dude? You want to sit with me? Come on. You want to sit with me? Oh, it's a good ball, though. You want to play with the ball? Bro, I got him this, orange chuck it ball. He is obsessed with it. Come here. Give me it. Give me it. Give me that ball. This thing. It's crazy. Noah, CW, SS, and DM all make us a playoff team if healthy. Christian Wilkins, Who's DM in SS? Am I drawing a blank here? Are you saying strong safety? Is that Marcus Epps? Am I crazy? What's DM? I don't know. Kai, do you think this team is one off season away? I feel like I've been saying we're one off season away for a really, really long time, Kai. I do actually think, though, that we're a quarterback away. Like, quarterback can solve anything in the NFL, and that's one of the reasons why I will not say fire Antonio Pierce. I do think that AP's done a bad job this season, and I'm somebody that wanted Antonio Pierce, and I think it's okay to say that he's doing a bad job or he looks like he's in over his head or he's failing right now. Antonio Pierce even agreed to all that stuff. Like, just because you say those things doesn't mean that you want a guy to be fired. Let's just get that frank. Like, and I can sit up here and I can say that the Raiders right now with Antonio Pierce kind of look worse than what the Raiders did last season with Josh McDaniels. I think saying true statements like that doesn't make you want the coach to get fired. It's just actually what's going on. Like, I think content creators, people in general, are so afraid to say things that are going to hurt people's feelings. But, you know, in life, like, I want you guys to talk to me the way that I would talk to my close friends, the way that I would talk to my close family. And if you can't be honest with your friends and family, then who can you be honest with? And I'm the type of person where I'm going to believe everything I hear until you give me a reason not to believe you. And like, as me up here doing what I do, and the fact that I can't shake all y'all's hands, and the fact that I can't look at all y'all in the eyes, the moment that I'm dishonest and disingenuous, that's not the right word. I can't speak. Disingenuous, that's, I think, the right word. Like, you guys shouldn't watch this show anymore. You know what I mean? Like, you should unsubscribe. You shouldn't support this thing anymore. But I think the reason why we've been able to build such a cool community and the reason why we've been able to build such an awesome family here is because we are honest with each other. We do show up for each other. Like, you guys help me get through a lot of tough days, whether you want to believe it or not. Like, you do. Like, me waking up early today, I got up this morning at 5:30. Chuggs and I were in the studio at 7 a.m. to make sure that you guys got a video out by like 9:30. Why? Because I know that you guys care. Because I care, right? Like, we are an awesome, awesome thing that we got going on here on this YouTube channel. I want to keep that thing rolling. So if you're not subscribed, hit that subscribe button. And if you haven't already, make sure you click that like button. I know sometimes I go on tangents, but I think we are a off season away from being good because we need a quarterback. Look what the Washington Commanders did. The Commanders, I think, are almost perfect example of if you get one right piece, and that's that quarterback guy, and you get a good quarterback, and it lifts up your entire team. Like, think about what you do when you're confident compared to when you're not confident in any day life, right? Like, think about something you're really good at compared to like when you're not really good at it. Like, it's a lot of times it can come down to confidence. Simple as that. Let's go to Cameron Sproul. Who is the franchise player this year? I'd have to go through and I'd have to actually like look at the contracts and look at certain things. I don't know if the Raiders should honestly franchise tag anybody. Like, I don't know if it makes sense to franchise tag the linebacker spot because linebackers usually are a little bit spiked up in terms of price. You would think about, so that's Devine Roberts-Blaine, not going to happen. Cornerback, I don't think that makes any sense simply because Nate Hobbs is an inside corner and you're not going to have to pay him as much as an outside corner, so that doesn't make sense. At defensive end, you're not going to franchise tag anybody there. I don't see the Raiders franchise tagging any players. I really don't. Let's go to Steven Gutierrez. Throw Carter Bradley and Purdy was once a third-string quarterback. I think the biggest difference, though, when people are bringing up Brock Purdy and this quarterback and that quarterback, those guys never had Luke Getsy. And if you do actually want to try to like build a quarterback's confidence, especially a young guy, like if the Raiders actually believe in Carter Bradley, real talk, if they actually believe in Carter Bradley as being a prospect, then I wouldn't put him in the field right now. I wouldn't put him out there with Luke Getsy. You're only going to ruin his confidence, which was another reason why, I've been saying it kind of made sense for the Raiders to go with Minshew. He's a journeyman quarterback that, has kind of done this before. And even though I'm not the biggest believer in Aidan O'Connell, I still want the best for AOC. And, I've said that I think Aidan's going to have a long NFL career. Like being an NFL backup for 15 seasons, like that's a great NFL career. I mean, there are starters at other positions that would kill to be a backup quarterback in the NFL for 15 seasons. But I say that because when you have a young QB, you want to be able to build their confidence. And I don't believe in Luke Getsy. And I think what you're seeing right now from Gardner Minshew is literal proof of this is a man that has dealt with 4 different teams, that has dealt with a lot of different situations. And he's never been more unconfident in himself than what he is right now. And I think that falls on Gardner Minshew's shoulders. It also falls on the shoulders of Luke Getsy. It falls on the shoulders of Antonio Pierce. So, like, to me, you can't just say, oh, we'll put Carter Bradley in XYZ because Brock Purdy. I'll tell you this. I think Brock Purdy right now on this Raiders team with Luke Getsy wouldn't be a very good quarterback. Like, there's so much other things that go into being a good QB besides just the quarterback. The Raiders broke Gardner Minshew this season. They did. They flat out broke a quarterback that I actually didn't think was breakable because of how quirky, how random Gardner Minshew is. I really didn't. And they broke him. Roy Hobbs, Mitch, have you seen Bradley Carter tape? Best pure thrower on the team. Why are we overlooking him? I don't know if he's the best pure thrower on the team. He might have the strongest arm, but that's not saying a lot with our current quarterback room. I like Bradley as a prospect. And I was pretty high on him this offseason. And he was one of the guys that, I was probably one of the very first people to even talk about Carter Bradley making the 53-man roster over Anthony Brown Jr. I got called crazy, crazy names for that. But like, Carter Bradley is also not a very good quarterback yet. Like, you want him to develop. And that's kind of where I was going back with the whole Luke Getsy thing. If you believe in Carter Bradley this much, you don't put him out there with Luke Getsy. You keep him here on this team. You wait till you get somebody better next season at OC, at head coach, whatever it might be. And then you see what you got in the kid. Because it's not fair to judge any quarterback. It won't be. It's not fair to judge any QB with the offense that we have with Luke Getsy right now, with Rich Gangarillo. It's not a fair assessment, quite frankly. John Doe, offseason wish list, Ben Johnson and Cam Ward. If the Raiders this offseason get Ben Johnson and Cam Ward, they make the playoffs. I swear to God. And sometimes that's all it's going to take. You get a quarterback like Cam Ward, you get Ben Johnson as your head coach, the Raiders are a playoff team in 2025. Carlos Garcia, when Sanders does get drafted next year, does he start or you let him sit? You got to start him. If Shedeur Sanders gets drafted by the Raiders and it's this regime, it'll depend. If it's like a brand new regime and they're not on the hot seat, then you might let him sit for a year. I don't think that the Raiders will do it because they need to win right away and this fan base is going crazy. But if it's AP and Telesco and all these guys, he's starting. I mean, they can't afford to not have him start right away. They will start him. I think no matter what, the Raiders are going to start the quarterback that they end up drafting. Let's go to Jesus Christ follower. Did you say that Desmond Ridder was already on the Raiders practice squad? I thought he's on the Cardinals, their practice squad. No, I said that he's already on the Raiders active roster because he's on the Cardinals practice squad. So anytime a team signs a player off another practice squad, you have to sign that player directly to your active 53-man roster. Like, you can't just sign a practice squad player and then he goes to a practice squad. Like, if the Raiders would have signed a guy like, I don't know, Max Duggan. I talked about Max Duggan today in my video because the Chargers drafted Duggan out of TCU in the 7th round with Telesco. So if the Raiders would have signed Duggan, they could have at least said, okay, we're going to put Duggan on the practice squad. We're going to elevate Carter Bradley. Because they signed a quarterback off of a practice squad, he's on that active roster, which means Carter Bradley still stays at the practice squad. So the active roster quarterbacks that the Raiders have right now, Gardner Minshew, Desmond Ridder, because Aidan O'Connell's on IR for at least 4 weeks. Let's go to Akash Kumar, which I got 3 more super chats to get to. And then after that, I don't got any more. So if you guys want me to stay live, keep the questions aflowing. We can interact. My question is this, though. I got about 20 minutes of battery life left on my computer. Does anybody want to bang? Anybody want to bang? I'm talking 20 minutes. Let's get reckless. If you guys want to get reckless here for 20 minutes, I need one person to bang. If one person bangs, I'm getting reckless here on the Raiders board. What up, Akash? We should draft Sanders, then go back up for Hunter. You're not going to be able to get 2 players that are going to go in the top 10, right? Like, there's a chance Travis Hunter gets drafted before Shedeur Sanders. I think because Hunter is one of these players that's such an unbelievable athlete. And I will say this, if you think Travis Hunter is going to play both ways in the NFL, you're crazy. He's only going to play one way. That's what his agent's going to tell him. His agent's going to tell him pick one spot because an NFL team's not going to pay him. Like, if he's a wide receiver in a corner, they're not going to pay him. Let's say he can make $20 million as a corner, $20 million as a receiver. A team's not going to pay him $40 million to do both. They're going to pay him to do one thing. So if I'm Travis Hunter, I go, why the hell would I do both? He's going to end up playing one. Personally, if he's trying to make money, he'll go play wide receiver. If he's going to do what I think he's best at, I think he should play corner. Let's go to Crash Dog. Milroe looks like a man amongst boys. Cam looks good. I mean, I think for people that have followed me for a long time, no. Cam Ward's my number one. Jalen Milroe is my number two. Though I will say Shedeur and Jalen Milroe are starting to get a lot closer overall of my quarterback. Cam's been my number one, and I don't think that that's going to change. If I had the number one overall pick in the draft, I'm taking Cam Ward. S-Dot, big six-man offensive line every play, period, until every quarterback is sitting duck, waiting to get injured with Getsy's five-man formation. You know, it's kind of funny that you brought that up because there was a point in the game yesterday where I go, holy shit, good block there by Jackson Powers Johnson. And then I was like, oh shit, it was Colt Miller. And then I was like, well, wait a minute. That means Thayer Munford's out there. I mean, if I was the Raiders, I would legitimately consider potentially rolling out six-man offensive lines until you figure out other receivers. Like if you told me right now, Harrison Bryant, Brock Bowers, six guys on the offensive line, quarterback Alexander Madison, and then maybe, I don't know, you add another player into the mix and Trey Tucker, a little pre-snap motion. Like that to me is a little bit more concerning just for the simple fact of we're actually going to be able to block. Coming! Raider! Bang! Woo! Bang it up, Chuck! All right, y'all, here's what I got to do. You got to give me 30 seconds. I got to run down to my fridge. I'm going to grab some drinks. Chuck and I, we're banging here on the Raiders Report for another 15 to 20 minutes. If y'all don't spam Common Raider, go somewhere else. Come on, we got to hurry. Come on. Come on. Come on. Come on. Come on, Chuck. Come on, Chuck. Dude, I'll tell you this, Chuck, hyped right now. Absolutely hyped. Common Raider. Cheers to you, bro. I'm sweating. I had to hustle. All right. Let me, Common says, just want to see Reckless. Thanks for your commitment to excellent, Mitch. Common, I appreciate you, I think, a lot more than what you even know. Somebody who's always here watching. And the fact that, like, people do what they do on a consistent basis, I'm telling y'all right now, I hope that there's a day where I can bless a YouTube channel the way that a lot of y'all bless this show, because it doesn't just change my life, doesn't just change Chuggs' life. We've been able to build a lot of really cool shit at Chat Sports, which I don't know if you guys have been able to see, like how many extra channels we have, how much extra coverage. Like Jeremy now gets to host his own show because a lot of the stuff that y'all have done. But it's also like the community we've been able to build here. I think it's one of the coolest communities on all of YouTube, not just Raider fans, all of YouTube. And I mean, YouTube, I talk to YouTube often. They tell me the exact same thing. They said this is one of the craziest channels for sports in the United States, and they keep a close eye on it. That's YouTube. I'm serious. Jersey Boy, 2025 draft prediction. First, Shedeur Sanders. Second, Dylan Fairchild. Third is Jalen Walker. Oh, boy. Here's the thing, man. I'll start doing more draft coverage. I want quarterback, offensive line. If those aren't your first two picks, I think it's a bad draft. And I'm always, and I mean this, I am always, let's take best player available, right? We got Brock Bowers. That guy looks like he's a stud, and he looks like he's going to be the real deal. And I love me some Brock Bowers. That guy is a stud, and I think it was a good pick. I think we can all agree on that. And I'm always somebody that's like, let's go best player available. Next year, I think we got to go quarterback and offensive line. I mean, I really do. And even if it's a little bit of a reach, that's our two biggest needs going into next season. Because if you don't have a QB and if you don't have an offensive line, it don't matter. What up, Devin Offley? Just paying my bar tab. Thanks for your breaking news coverage, my brother. Devin, cheers to you. There's no way Common's going to be the only one that bangs here, though, right? That was also Chuck's first bang. Tyler Fireblade, thank you for all your hard work. I work 24-hour shifts, and I really appreciate your videos. when I'm driving the ambulance. I feel like imagine you're sitting in an ambulance, which I shouldn't even laugh at this, but imagine you're sitting in an ambulance and your driver is listening to this show. I mean, believe me, I appreciate the hell out of that. That's probably one of the funniest things I've ever heard. But like you're sitting there in the back and the driver's just in the front, bang! Like that's the craziest thing ever. That's actually hilarious, man. Oh, man. Cameron, any of our walking wounded due back soon? I guess who's the walking wounded? Because we got plenty of them. I would say the two players that I'm hoping that we get back the most this week for Chiefs week, and I think it's actually the reason why they didn't play this past week, Jacoby and Dylan Parham. I mean, if we can get those two guys back, that would be great. I will say this, though. Watch out for Parham to be a potential trade candidate just because he's not a part of this regime. I love me some Dylan Parham, but Jordan Meredith did actually play very well, which it's kind of interesting. Meredith was, I want to say, one of the highest graded PFF players this past week for the Raiders, but then also he was really good in the preseason and might be a good fit with this Luke Getsy offense overall. I would say Colt Miller's a trade candidate. Dylan Parham's a trade candidate. Andre James is a trade candidate. I think one of those guys ends up getting dealt at the NFL trade deadline. Let's go to James Guevara. Reminder, we went live for the breaking news that the Raiders just signed Desmond Ridder. I can't really believe it either, but I did talk about it today on the show, and that's why you should subscribe. We're here. We're coming up on an hour. I'm staying live as long as my computer can possibly stay live for. We already banged once. It's time to get a little bit wild here on the Raiders Report. Every bang that you do, okay? Every bang that we end up getting today, I'm going to count it as 3 bangs in our October bang race. So if anybody's trying to actually compete in our October bang race, which Common, that's going to put you now up to 7. You got a shot. And if you don't know what the MVP prize is going to be, I'm going to hook you up with an October bang jersey. Also, my buddies, they make bats for the Philadelphia Phillies. So I'm also going to get you guys a special bang bat is what we're going to call it, whoever the MVP is. It's really dope. If you've ever seen the Philadelphia Phillies Invictus bats, that's my buddy's company. So shout out to Invictus. James Guevara, Ritter better eat at least I hope he snacks. I just hope he's not as bad as Gardner. If we can get a quarterback that doesn't turn over the football, we're going to be a lot better. And I think it's going to be a better evaluation of Antonio Pierce. I think it's going to be a better evaluation of Luke Getsy. It's going to be a better evaluation of our offense. It's so hard to evaluate anything when you turn over the ball as often as what this team is turning it over now. It's tough, man. What is Alex M? This is Jets win now mode. Oh, wait, you're serious. Let me laugh even harder. I mean, what's kind of funny is everyone, which for those that don't know, a lot of trolls, they always say I'm a Jets fan because I worked for the Jets in college. And I'm like, I always joke with Jeremy now. I'm like, I'm kind of rooting for the Jets now all of a sudden because I wanted the higher draft pick. I wanted Devontae to do well because I want that, I want him to be an all-pro so that we would get the second-round pick. But watching that team play on Sunday Night Football last night showed me that it's not as easy to just put 1 and 1 together. Devontae has lost his step. Aaron Rodgers looks 40 years old. And I hate saying this, but I'm going to say it anyway. I think karma for Devontae in this situation is going to be real. The grass isn't always greener, even if the team is colored green. Jersey boy, Fairchild is a guard from Georgia. I know Fairchild. I'm saying you're going down the list of all these other prospects. The only players I have looked at are quarterbacks. That's the only research that I've done. Those are only the players that I have scouted. Once the season is ended is when I'll start looking at, some of the other positions a little bit more. Rich Wolf, you like the Sunday Night Football or Monday Night Football anthem song, Carrie is a Bay? I mean, to be frank with you, Carrie, don't get me wrong, Carrie Underwood, obviously a beautiful woman, but the anthem-wise, I guess Sunday Night Football kind of rings in my mind a little bit more, but I only say that because though I watch Monday Night Football a lot more often. There's a lot of times, I'll come home after a Raiders loss. Like last night, all I did last night, which was not much better, turned on the Mets, and that wasn't too great. Let's go Dodgers, right? Beat those Yankees. Who do you guys got in World Series? Yankees or Dodgers? Let me know down below. I don't watch Sunday Night Football as often as I do Monday Night Football, and I love Monday Night Football because I get to come home, I'll make a little bit of food. Chuck and I will watch it together with Alex. Alex isn't even home right now. She's at a workout class, so you're cutting into very quality Chuck time here. L, what's up, man? There's no way that Desmond could come in and start this week. That's a disaster waiting to happen. I don't know what you typed here. Something. Carter Bradley, let's effing go. I hear what you're saying. I don't think it's going to be a disaster because, well, one, I mean, he's already on the active roster, so it's probably not going to be Carter Bradley. It's going to end up being Desmond Ridder. And two, you don't have any tape on him, so I don't think it can be worse than Minshew. Like, I don't. And if I'm wrong in that, then I'm wrong in that. I think if Desmond Ridder steps in this week and he's worse than Gardner Minshew, then we got to start going, shit, maybe it's not Minshew, right? Like, maybe it is Luke Getsy. Like, maybe Getsy is truly, truly that bad. But if you're going to beat a team like Kansas City, sometimes you got to do some wild and crazy shit. And bring in a quarterback that you got no tape on, I think that classifies as some wild and crazy shit. Let's go to Jared Watson. Sorry I missed Sunday's stream. I was at F1 in Austin. Let's hope Desmond Ridder can at least make us look decent and get the defense out. I mean, take care of the football. Let's establish the run. If we got to go with an extra offensive lineman, we got to go with an extra offensive lineman. It is what it is. But I think every Raider fan is sitting here going, it can't be worse than Gardner Minshew. And that's just the honest answer. It can't be worse than Gardner Minshew. It can't be worse than Gardner Minshew. Dorian, we needed to cut 68 James. He gets beat so bad. I think Andre James is one of the examples of when you switch up your offensive line coach, you don't realize how much it's going to impact you. When you switch up so many different players playing next to him, you don't realize how much it's going to impact you. When you switch up your offensive scheme, you don't realize how much it's going to impact you. But I do wonder, and I'm only saying this just because, it's just the honest take. I do wonder for a player, okay, who just got signed to a 3-year, $24 million deal, to a player that bought a brand new home in Las Vegas, to a player that's, maybe going to a little bit of a different time of his life. Did he slow down a little bit? Like, did he not work the way that he's worked in previous seasons? Because this was a guy who was working his freaking tail off to be able to get that big-time contract, and then he got one, and then to fall off a cliff. I've been doing this thing for a long time. When a player falls off the cliff the way that Andre James has kind of fallen off, it makes me wonder, what was he doing this offseason? And, I don't know. I'm not close with Andre in that regard. I know people close to James, and, it's been a way that I've been able to get some of the things that I've been able to get here on the show through my course of doing this thing. But I also say this, he's in a bit of a different time of his life. Let's just put it like that. Ed Robbins. Oh, wait, Rich Wolf. Monday Night Football time. Catch you tomorrow. Warriors versus Knicks finals. I'd be on board for that. Ed Robbins, what do you think if Allen gets fired from the Saints? Do you think we can get Kubiak? I would love to get Kubiak. I think Kubiak is a very smart offensive-minded coach. The Saints have been so bad, but that's because of all the injuries that team has right now. I mean, they have a shit ton of injuries on the offensive side of the football. I would also love Kubiak because the amount of inside scoops I feel like we'd get would be so much better. So I don't know if you guys know, Jeremy's related to the Kubiaks. Let's just put it like that. Where we've gotten some pretty interesting information before, which we were not allowed to share any of it, and that's just the way that it goes. But if Kubiak or any of the Kubiaks were to become head coach or a prominent figure of this team, I think we'd get a few more scoops. There's no doubt about it. I mean, the shit Jeremy's already showed me is pretty freaking crazy, man. All right, y'all, that's all the questions that I got. So here's what I'm going to ask. We're either going to stay live a little bit longer or we're going to go watch Monday Night Football. We did get breaking news that the Raiders signed Desmond Ridder. I appreciate all y'all. I'm seeing a lot of Dodgers down below. I'm rooting for the Dodgers as well. And because I'm going to put 60 seconds on the clock, 60 seconds on the clock. Let's get some questions in, or I need a bang. If we get a bang, I'm staying live for another 10 minutes. If not, hey, I got to get out of here. I got stuff I got to do too. I hope that you guys appreciated the live coverage that we were able to provide today. I know that it wasn't the same compared to me being at the studio in the office. Sometimes you just got to do what you got to do, and that's the easiest way that I can be able to put it. And we came here today, Chuck and I, we pulled up on the show. Chuck had a great time. Seriously, I like doing these at-home style shows, which is what we call them at Chat Sports, at home, because we're at home. But I think it's cool because you don't get to see a lot of the other crazy shenanigans that are going on, but you at least get to see what we do, how we do it. And at the end of the day, like I said, I always like to be able to come up here and chop it up with all y'all. So from me, from my dog Chuck, the breaking news is in. Desmond Ridder is now the quarterback of the Raiders. I don't know if he's going to be the starting quarterback of the team, but I am going to anticipate that he's probably going to start this week against the Kansas City Chiefs. All right, y'all, go enjoy Monday Night Football. I'll see you guys tomorrow live on the Raiders Report, 4 p.m. Eastern Time, 1 p.m. Pacific. Get the F out of here. Common Raider, one more time. Common Raider! Bang! One, give him a bang. One bang. No? Okay. See you guys. Peace out. Desmond Ridder, welcome to the nation.